What is up? What is up? I am so sorry it's a late one. I'm not going to keep y'all very long. Those of y'all that decide that it's worth it to come out and see me in the chat. Hey, Nosy Google, how you doing? I'm glad to see you in here. Hopefully, it's not too lonely on you. Maybe some other people to come in. This was kind of yeah, I know. I didn't think I was gonna make it, but yeah, here I am, and I'm on for two reasons. I guess one reason is we had talked the other night about it got mentioned the Samson option, which is Philly's nuclear deterrence doctrine. It came up in that. Oh, it was the one we did the other night. Let's see. I've done so many lately. Um, oh yes, it was the one on the Iran war and what was going on over in the Middle East and all that. So anyway, it got brought up. The Samson option got brought up. So I've just got just a little short video that kind of gives a quick rundown on what the Samson option is. So we'll go through that, and then I have got a big, huge announcement to make when we get done with that. But we got to save the best for last. So anyway, make sure if y'all are seeing this thing in the future and like it, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, notification bell. I try to give a little bit more heads up than I did tonight, but it is what it is. I'd rather be here last minute, with short notice than not make it at all. So at least everybody can see this thing after a while. Hey, now don't be giving away the secret now. You can't be doing all that. I'm just kidding. Um, yes, it is, and I am tickled to death. I am absolutely tickled to death. Hope y'all are excited about it as I am. So anyway, before we get into that, let's play this little short video, and of course, as usual, I'll stop and give my 2 cents worth here and there, but it's pretty good. It's especially with what's going on right now in the Middle East and that whole conflict over there, and especially how we always have pounded into our heads all the time that they are our greatest ally. They're the most humane military in the world. All this BS that we hear all the time, how they can do no wrong, everything they do is justified. Um, I think that it is important to. I think that it's important to see kind of how they really feel about the world. Um, Even us, we've always been there. We've always protected them. I mean, if it wasn't for us, they'd probably got wiped off the map by now. And you see how they, how they snaked us into this one by pretty much saying we're going one way or the other, and when we go, um, they see y'all the same as us. So when we go, they're going to start striking y'all. So you might as well start striking first. And I think that's just a really shitty foreign policy, to be honest with you. Now, what exactly would have been my decision in that situation, I guess I can't say. But just the fact that we're put in that position to start with is just ludicrous. So, and it's a crying shame. So, anyway, let's have a look at this. And we may do a little bit more on this later. There's some longer in-depth things on this, but this is just a little short one. I wanted to get on here just to do this because I said I would, and also so I can make this big announcement for everybody. Everybody but Google nosy already knows what it is. All right, here we go. Hold, please. Hold for processing.
Since 1948, the Arab-Israeli conflicts have continuously tainted the history of the Middle East with ongoing hostilities. From the very beginning of Israel's establishment in 1948, Arab nations began a series of hostile actions against it, leading to 4 major wars that marked the region's history. Surrounded by hostile neighbors due to its geographical vulnerabilities, Israel managed to survive these attacks by effectively using its military strength and well-planned strategies to counter the superior military forces of its enemies. However, Israel quickly realized that it would be impossible to always overcome these much larger and more heavily armed enemies with traditional military strength alone. This understanding led Israel, decades ago, to secretly acquire nuclear weapons and develop a rapid response doctrine. The Samson Option, or
So just a little quick note on that. Yes, they did acquire this nuclear program, and it was, quote unquote secret. I mean, obviously, always somebody always knows, but anyway, yes, they come up with this program. Actually, I mean, technically illegally. It was not legal, and they were not supposed to do that. Where and how did they acquire this stuff? Just so happens our greatest ally stole a lot of the materials and the technology, just the know-how from us, the United States. So we did all the hard work, we did the leg work, and then guess what? As they have done with many other things, they steal it, they get it, and then, yeah, I'm not going to go too far down that one. I'm just going to play the video.
Samson's strategy was a distinctive Israeli policy that stated that in any future conflict, if Israel's existence was at risk of being completely annihilated, it would launch a large-scale nuclear attack on the enemy's territory.
Now, one very important thing to note there is that, like with us, Russia, with most all of us nuclear powers, we all have a nuclear doctrine. And pretty much in a nutshell, yeah, there's a lot of ins and outs and technical BS, but at the end of the day, it's mainly like, and the term mutually assured destruction pretty much means, look, we all know what this can mean. So before we start slinging these things back and forth, we need to exhaust all other avenues and realize before we hit that big red button that, if we send one to you and then you send one over here, more than likely we're both getting eliminated. And then if anybody else gets involved and they start flying, it could be the whole freaking world. That's the idea behind it anyway, the mutually assured destruction. It's a deterrent, supposed to be a deterrent. I've got them. If I need them, I can use them. But because I've got them and I can use them, that puts you in a position where you're not going to push me to the point where I have to, because whatever damage gets done to me is going to be done to you, and so there on and so forth. Now, that being said, as far as I know, globally, I don't know of anybody else that has this doctrine. But most places it's a tit for tat type thing. So in other words, if you're getting beat by conventional means, you're not going to just jump straight to shooting a whole bunch of nukes over and try to annihilate. There's an escalation ladder. Y'all probably heard that term quite a bit in the last few weeks. But everything is just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Like I said, escalatory ladder, and everything is met with a reasonable amount of retaliation. Well, that is not, and surprise, surprise, that is not the way Philly looks at it. So we'll listen to a little more of this.
This was a last resort strategy intended to ensure that Israel would not go down alone, but instead take its enemies down with it.
Not go down alone, but instead take its enemies down with it. And, at the end of the day, truthfully, that means it's taking its enemies down with it, and probably pretty much anybody else in the region. And of course they know that, but do you think they care? I doubt it.
Although Israel has never publicly acknowledged this policy, it is widely
They haven't even publicly acknowledged their nuclear program. Here we are throwing a kicking, screaming fit because Iran's got some. And look, trust me, I'm not pro-Iran. I don't really want them to have a nuclear bomb either. But here we are throwing this fit, going through all of this so they don't get a bomb. But at least the nuclear program that they had, we were aware of, and they were letting inspectors in there. And that's all part of that nuclear proliferation. But guess what? Guess who's not subject to being, inspected, or any of the regulations and rules that go along with having nuclear deterrence? Yep, that would be Philadelphia. You know why? Because they have never to this day acknowledged that they have a nuclear program. Now, everybody in the world knows they do, but they to this day have not ever come out on the record and said that they did. So in so doing, that leaves them totally, completely exempt from any oversight whatsoever. I mean, how are you going to oversee something that ain't there?
Believed to exist,
Hey,
and global
Dan
intelligence agencies consider it a critical.
Good to see you in here so late. Sorry it is so late. This one's going to be a sure enough quickie. This is very short. We're going to just go through this. We're going to get a quick overview on the Samson option. Y'all check out that thumbnail. I thought that was pretty good, especially for a throw together. But anyway, we get done with that. I'm going to make my little big announcement, and hopefully that's going to tickle the shit out of everybody as much as it has me. And we'll be out of here.
Part of Israel's defense strategy.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're not. Where are you from? Where are you located at? Hey, there's another one. Nomad's in there. Hey, nice to see you. See, look, I had a feeling Nosy wasn't gonna be in there alone after we went on for a minute. Canada. Hey, we love our Canadian brothers and sisters. I mean, we love y'all so much that there was even an offer at some point to turn y'all into the 51st state. Please don't take offense to that either.
In this context, this new video discusses the reasons that compelled Israel to adopt such a policy and its relevance in the modern geopolitical scenario. Israel considers the Samson option.
Hey, I've done the night shift. I don't remember if I've ever done third shift, but I've most definitely done second shift a lot. So I feel you. Know exactly where you're coming from there. And you don't ever, or at least I didn't ever get any rest when I was working nights, because you would think, the idea is you just get on a different schedule. So like when you're up during the day, you work, all good. You go to bed, you sleep all night, you get up, you go to work again. No, it's not like that. When you're working nights, you're up all night working, and then you come home, and in theory, you should come home and go to bed and sleep all day. But guess what? Nothing's open in the middle of the night when you're awake. So I ended up staying up all the time because I had things I had to deal with and take care of. So yeah, a lot of times you're very under rested. Exactly, Nomad. Exactly. I wasn't going to throw that out there, but yes, that is exactly right.
In the period of 1965 to 66, as the Arab world and Israel moved closer to the third major conflict in the Middle East, Israel began to think about a drastic response to any situation where its very existence would be threatened.
And you heard what it said there. It didn't say a nuclear threat. I mean, it just said pretty much any scenario where their existence would be threatened. And of course, who is the one that decides when they are under imminent threat, that their existence is truly being threatened. I mean, we saw just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, obviously, obviously, imminent threat is a very subjective term because turns out just about everybody you talk to has got a different idea of what imminent threat means. So at the end of the day, who over in Philly decides that they're under imminent threat of being wiped out? You know, and once they start getting that feeling, how close to that point do they have to come before they enact this option? So it's pretty scary.
Israel's survival was ever questioned by its enemies, Israel started to consider a large-scale plan to completely eliminate those enemies and their supporting powers from the face of the earth.
I love those terms. Completely eliminate them off the face of the earth, and that's probably exactly the way it's written if I had to guess.
Establish the permanent existence of an independent Israel as a sovereign nation in the Middle East, it was clear that Israel needed to rely not only on its traditional military strength but also on the nuclear power that far exceeded its conventional weapons.
No, man. I mean, maybe, but at the end of the day, and look, I'm not an Iran fan. I'm not even an Iran sympathizer. I guess I wouldn't say. I mean, with the people, obviously, yes. But I believe that they have gotten a really bad reputation. And, you know, they are pretty extreme as far as the religion goes and all that. But at the end of the day, and this is something a lot of people need to realize, everybody talks about how big of a threat Iran is and Muslims in general. No, not Muslims. I know some Muslims, and I know some Muslims that are just great people. And they don't have any interest in lopping off Christians' heads or anything like that. So, you know, that is a very extreme version. And look, there's been extremists in other religions too. So, at the end of the day, it's been made out to be more of a threat than what it is, I feel like. At the end of the day, if they actually directly threaten us, I mean, yes, I'm all about taking care of business. But they're actually pretty smart people. And, you know, that regime's been in power for 47 years. And I feel like, yes, if they truly intended on doing something to us, they probably would have done it already. That being said, it's just like Joe Kent said, you know, there is a huge difference in when you're assessing these threat situations. There is a big difference between somebody having the capability to do harm to you and somebody having the will to do it or having the desire to actually do it. Again, there's lots of people in this world that have nuclear weapons, and they're deterrents. That's exactly the programs are called nuclear deterrent program. So just because they have a nuke doesn't mean they're going to launch it. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm not no Iran sympathizer, but I feel like this thing's been blown way out of proportion, and probably to get us in the middle of this. Everybody knows that Bibi wants to be the superpower in that region. He wants to run the Middle East, and to do that, you got to take down Iran. You had the clean break memo, you know, back in the I guess the early 2000s. I can't remember exactly when that was, but it had the list of all those. You had Iraq, you had Syria, Afghanistan. I think Afghanistan was on there. Libya and Iran. I believe that might have been them. Anyway, that whole list of countries that had to had to fall. And, you know, we've been over there for all these years, and guess what? We're down to the last one, which is Iran. Yes, they do. Like I said, I don't think they're stupid. Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, now, could they be lying about it? Sure. But at the end of the day, I feel like they've made it very clear what their issue is with us. It's not like George Bush said. It's not they hate us because of our freedoms. That's just some dumb shit. They don't hate us because of our freedoms. The one and only reason they have an issue with us is this, obviously, initially, the way we established the state of Israel, and since then, our undying, unlimited, 100% support of them, and not only them, everything they do, be it good or bad. And, anything they do, we're funding with the weapons. It's our weapons they're using. And of course, anything they do, they'll take some really extreme risks because they know that they can't finish the fight, but that we can. And of course, we will, because we just will. And that's exactly what Iran's issue is with us is. Everybody in the Middle East, that's exactly what their issue is with us. Is the way that we support Israel. And look, I hate to see anybody, get wiped off the face of the earth, and I'm not wishing that on anybody, but at the end of the day, let them fight it out. I mean, what happens, happens. That's just the way I'm getting to that point. It's just so freaking, exhausting, this whole Middle East thing. It's just absolutely exhausting. Yes, exactly. No, hey, Dan, I agree 100%. And look, I could be wrong. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I feel like that death to America thing, which bothers me, trust me, I do not, that makes me uncomfortable. But again, I feel like if we were to sever, maybe not even sever all ties, but at least distance ourselves from that, if you want to call it the little brother with a bad attitude or whatever, if we were to distance ourselves from Philly, then I feel like our problems, our issues with Iran go away overnight. Again, the way I understand it is their only real issue with us is our undying support for the state of Israel. And why do they have such an issue with them? Well, that's a long story too. But in a nutshell, they went over there and they started killing off and running out the Muslim people that lived there. And, that's a whole can of worms. So we'll have to get into that later. Yeah, death to Canada. It's just ridiculous. Most of those people are just doing what they see online, though, And look, though, there's some real dangerous people out there. But God, there's a bunch of these dumbass college kids that get out and waving in flags and stuff. And God, anyway, we ain't ever gonna get through here. Antifa, yeah, we don't really have Antifa where I'm at. I know what you mean by that. Yes, certain areas, certain places, there's plenty of it. It wouldn't last very long around here. I'm in Middle Tennessee. I live 45 minutes from a Walmart. You don't see Antifa out here.
Many prominent leaders within the Jewish community, including Israel's founding father David Ben-Gurion and Prime Minister Levi Eshkol, supported this idea. Key figures in the Israeli government, such as Goldmeier, Moshe Daya, and Shimon Peres, strongly backed the need for a comprehensive nuclear weapons policy, pushing for its immediate development. At the same time, Egypt's president and the revered leader of the Arab world, Colonel Gamal Abdel Nasser, made an open threat to Israel on 4 June 1966, declaring that they would punish Israel with the most powerful weapon on earth. This was seen as a direct challenge to Israel's sovereignty. With the threat of war always looming in the region, Israel's cabinet took this as a potential nuclear threat from the Arab coalition. As a result, Israel decided to expedite the creation of a large number of thermonuclear bombs to defend itself. On 3 July 1960,
and how did they expedite that? Well, instead of going through all the legwork, the footwork, and then the the whole thought processes besides the physical realities, that you had to go through to get that program. Instead of going through all that, what'd they do? Them damn sneaky ass Zionist freaking assholes stole the shit and got it over there. That's exactly what what's his name? Name's right on the tip of my tongue. The one that Mike Huckabee just took the meeting with not long ago. I'll think of it here in a minute. But yes, yeah, we'd already figured it out. They hadn't. They knew it was going to take a long time, so they thought, well, we'll just swap it from them.
1946, a special cabinet meeting was held, and Prime Minister Levi Eshkol gave orders to Israel's main nuclear research facility, the Dimona Nuclear Lab, to begin assembling these weapons. Israel prepares to develop the Samson Option. Since the end of the Second Arab-Israeli War in 1956, also known as the Suez Crisis, Israel had been increasingly focused on acquiring advanced nuclear technology. They were determined to build modern research labs.
You notice they didn't say developing this nuclear technology. You got to pay close attention to the words sometimes. They didn't say developing these technologies. They said acquiring these technologies. These technologies were being developed here in the good old US of A. So while we were developing said technologies, they were acquiring them. It's funny how that works, ain't it?
Laboratories capable of conducting intensive research into nuclear weapons. As the Cold War was coming to an end in the late 1950s, Israel's main regional adversary, Egypt, began its own nuclear program with Soviet assistance. Egypt's plans to build nuclear weapons using Russian designs prompted Israel to take action. As a result, in 1958, Israel began the construction of the Dimona Nuclear Research Lab in the Negev Desert in southern Israel. This lab became the birthplace of Israel's nuclear weapons development, with assistance from European powers like France and Britain. By 1963, Israel had achieved success in its nuclear weapons program, with the ability to produce reliable atomic bombs. That year, Israel established an assembly line at the Dimona lab that could produce more than 10 thermonuclear bombs at any given time. With this advancement, Israel became capable of facing any nuclear and conventional military threats from its surrounding enemies.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they could face any conventional threats around them, but the only way they can do that is if they escalate all the way to the end and go to the nuclear option. And that's exactly why they did it, because they know that they're outnumbered, and if they're going to go conquer the whole Middle East, conventionally they will end up losing, and losing badly, at least not with us backing them. So they thought, well, let's cheat. Let's get the nuclear weapons. Let's get the nuclear option, and we'll use that as leverage. And of course, like I said, they still haven't confirmed that they've got this nuclear weapons program, but everybody knows they do.
In a highly secretive manner, Israel also began to store its nuclear weapons at secret bunkers across northern Israel, ready to be deployed with aircraft when needed. Israel's development of nuclear weapons, and its ability to build them rapidly, gave the country great confidence in its ability to defend itself against nuclear or conventional threats.
It wasn't just the nuclear bombs that gave them that confidence. A lot of that was, us. Us backing them. That right there give them more confidence in what they should have. That's why they've got this. That's why they've got this attitude that they've got. That's why they decided to go take a bite out of Iran and bite off more than they could chew, because they knew that we would come clean it up, finish the job for them.
The strategic shift, backed by the ability to produce and store nuclear weapons in secret, was crucial in strengthening Israel's position in the Middle East. This also became a significant factor in Israel's decision to adopt the Samson Option, a policy that would ensure that if Israel faced existential annihilation, it would respond with devastating nuclear retaliation. Israel brings the Samson Option into effect. After secretly making their nuclear defense a reality against their adversaries in the West, Israel began to implement corresponding policies and strategies. The meaningful aspect of this development was not just acquiring nuclear weapons but also establishing the protocols necessary for their effective use. Israel became keenly aware of this after the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, which made the necessity for clear reasons and justifications to deploy nuclear bombs in response to enemy actions evident. As a result, Israel prepared a response protocol in January 1967, which included clear conditions for using nuclear bombs if their sovereignty or independence was at risk from an enemy attack, whether nuclear or conventional.
Did you hear that? Basically, they put a plan in action where they could use the nuclear weapons against an enemy force, whether it was nuclear or conventional. And that is not the way, that's not the way nuclear doctrines usually go. Like I said, there's this escalatory ladder you go up, and then, it's a whole bunch of threatening, we've got nukes. But at the end of the day, it's supposed to be slight escalations with a metered response. Say somebody lobs a little nuke, well, you lob a little nuke, and then a little bit bigger. Not, okay, this person hasn't even, or this country hasn't even, hinted towards using nuclear weapons, but they've got a really badass conventional force and they're going to run over us. So guess what? We're going to pull out the nukes and use them. That's exactly what that doctrine means.
This policy was supported by Israel's political, military, and intelligence leadership and was later approved by the National Cabinet. The core principle of this policy was that if any attack on Israel, nuclear or otherwise, threatened the country's independence and sovereignty, Israel would retaliate with nuclear weapons.
And this puts us in a really bad position. This kind of puts us over a barrel. With them having this doctrine, it's not just about them, and it's not just about, it's not just about them. If you think about it, it puts our presidents and stuff in a bad place, because when you've got these crazy fuckers over there with nukes that are threatening to use them with just straight up conventional wars, with countries that are not even nuclear armed. You got to think about, what about Qatar and Jordan and all these other countries over there. And, a lot of these being our allies, Bahrain, there's several over there. Whenever there's some type of altercation going on over there in the Middle East, in a way they can use that to pressure our president. Say like, hey, come over here and get involved. If you don't, what our nuclear doctrine says. If we're going to get beat, we're going to nuke everybody. So in a way, they probably make them feel like they have to send our troops in to intervene just to keep them from going nuclear. And all this could be easily solved. For one, cut ties, cut all the funding, and just hang them out to dry if that's what it takes. Or two, we fought all these wars with all these countries over there in the Middle East for all these years. I think we could probably, if need be, get rid of their nuclear program by force. Not saying that's what we should do. I'm not the president, never have been or never plan on being. But at the end of the day, I think that we could handle this problem real quick and simple, like keep us from losing a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and treasure.
The government and military decided that Israel's nuclear weapons would be deployed under this policy without deviation.
Yeah, exactly. No, man. And that's exactly right. I know that they don't. You can tell anybody that stands back and looks at the situation, with an open mind, really can come to that conclusion fairly easily. But it's nice to actually hear them come out and admit it.
Cabinet and Israel Defense Forces, IDF, concluded that such a scenario would lead to an outcome similar to another Holocaust for the Jewish people. Therefore, these weapons, which provided Israel with an unmatched security shield,
Hell, most of these immigrants that we've been taking in are immigrants from countries that we bombed to shit, and the people don't have anywhere to go, and at the end of the day, all those wars that we've been in when we bomb these little countries, you know, it's all over them. So I mean, it is what it is, but they're the reason a lot of these immigrants are here, and it sucks.
Were seen as a vital means to counter the mounting military pressure from the Arab alliance surrounding Israel in the Middle East. The change in Israel's security doctrine due to the Samson Option. Israel believed that its new nuclear strategy could exert significant pressure on the Arab alliance, which had been increasingly challenging Israel militarily in the region. However, there were also voices within Israel advocating for a parallel strategy based on conventional military strength, using traditional weapons to counter threats. Nonetheless, the prevailing opinion was that if Israel were to face either annihilation or a total occupation by its enemies, a final response would involve launching a massive nuclear strike against the adversaries. This position had widespread support among Israel's leadership and the majority of its political and military figures. This reality was confirmed just before the 1967 Six-Day War, when Israel's intelligence agency Mossad, along with the IDF, prepared a secret operation to carry out a nuclear explosion in the Sinai Peninsula's El Hassan mountain region on the Egyptian side. The plan was to send a group of about 100 paratroopers, along with more than 5 French-made Super Frelon helicopters, to set up and detonate low-yield nuclear bombs near enemy lines. This plan had been authorized by Prime Minister Levi Eshkol and Defense Minister General Moshe Dayan. However, due to a leak by Soviet spies, Israel was forced to abandon the mission.
I mean, did you hear that? They planned on using them. I mean, like, they weren't even under imminent threat. Like, by all appearances, they were planning on using them offensively, not in a defensive or deterrent type of way. So that's what the hell we're dealing with over there. And that's why we keep getting neck deep in bullshit over there in the Middle East.
Despite this, the mere existence of this plan struck fear into Israel's primary enemies, especially Egypt.
They do, and it's about time that we quit believing the bullshit when Netanyahu says that we're one and the same and we have the same values and the same. No, we don't. We don't at all. And we've got to start realizing that. We've got to start realizing that, and actually, tailoring our foreign policy. Yeah. No, we'd got far different values. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Which was the leading nation in the Arab alliance. The operation showed Israel's willingness to use nuclear weapons to defend itself, and it made clear that Israel should never be underestimated. The lesson learned from this was made even clearer during the 1973 Yom Kippur War, when Israel prepared for a second nuclear strike against its enemies. This time, Israel was ready with a large arsenal of nuclear warheads, prepared to retaliate at a moment's notice. Though the planned attack was eventually averted due to American intervention.
There you go. There you go. They weren't under a nuclear threat. They weren't under imminent threat of being, wiped off the face of the earth. But yet, they were planning on taking, in response to just a conventional attack, they planned on, sending all these nuclear warheads over there and just escalating from 0 to 100. And guess who had to step in and stop it? Yep, it was us. And so I do kind of understand. I still don't like being over there right now, and I don't want to be over there, and I feel like there was another way. But at the end of the day, I can kind of see how these presidents get pressured into this when they know that those crazy fuckers over there got a nuclear bomb and are just dying to use it. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, other than obviously the being bought and paid for part, which is probably a lot of it also.
Israel's nuclear doctrine was revealed for the first time during this period, cementing
Yes, I know, and I'm hoping like hell we're to that point, because we need to really we've got to handle that issue. Damn, I'm telling you, we gotta get that one handled.
its position as a nuclear power in the Middle East. In short, by choosing the Samson option as their primary nuclear response strategy, Israel ultimately placed itself under a complex and
No, man, I've heard that, and I honestly I don't doubt that, and that's probably for several different reasons. But yeah, I feel you there.
significant nuclear threat in the eastern Mediterranean region. This decision reflected the stark reality of the phrase, live or die. In the following years, the influence of the Samson option was prominently evident in all of Israel's military preparations. The selection of Samson, the last judge of the Jewish people and a figure known for his immense strength,
Saving it for last. Why, that is a really, really deep topic. That's part of that whole Q topic that we were on the other night, that Q and the plan to save the world. So we'll have to go a little bit. We have to go a little bit deeper into that one to get that saving Israel for last. But we may do that. We may do that here pretty soon.
and tragic end, as the symbol of this policy was a conscious and deliberate choice by Israel.
Yes, I do agree, Dan Lamp. It does seem that way, or at least some days. So yes, keep your enemies close. That's right. So yes, and if you'll go back and look at some of my live streams, I don't know, it's been several weeks ago. If you'll go back, there's one. It shows like a chessboard, and it shows Trump on there, and I think the title, at least on the thumbnail, says, "Did he actually betray? Did he really betray his base, or something like that?" And I kind of, not Israel specifically, but I kind of touch on the whole Einstein thing, and this whole, everybody jumping ship because they feel like that he's covering up for it, and that he's involved in it and all these things. So I don't know, if go back and check that out. I tried to kind of lay that out as clearly as I could for normies, and I even said I'm open to anything right now. Maybe I'm wrong, but I threw it out there as another option.
His life story, marked by his faith in achieving freedom even at the cost of his own life, closely mirrored the
Good.
philosophy of Israel's nuclear doctrine. In the Bible, Samson believed that his freedom could only be secured by confronting his enemies, even if it meant sacrificing his own life. He was famously captured by the Philistines, the arch-enemies of the Jews, and was ultimately driven to destroy many of them at the cost of his own life. Thus, Israel's adoption of the Samson option represented a final stand for the survival of the state and its citizens. It conveyed a powerful and clear message to the world, particularly to its adversaries. Israel was prepared to resort to total self-destruction, or more drastically, bring about the complete destruction of its enemies, if its existence was threatened. This message was as clear as daylight and symbolized Israel's commitment to defend its people at all costs, using its nuclear capabilities as a last resort.
Yeah, and and the way that one of the ways anyway that's such a big threat for us is because we do have a huge presence in the Middle East. We've got a lot of bases there. We've got several good allies there. We've got Qatar, Saudi, and I mean, they've all got their problems. I'm not trying to say they're perfect, but either way, we do have allies there that we do a lot of business with, and we've got, that we protect and all that. So there's thousands of troops that are they're in the Middle East all the time. And so, if there was to be some type of altercation with Israel that they thought they couldn't win, what, Philly, that they thought they couldn't win, if they did decide to go to the Samson option, yes, okay, they're saying if we're going, we're taking our enemies with us, but they're not just going to take their enemies; they're also going to take all of us with them because, in a nuclear exchange like that, I mean, what about all our troops that are there in that region? So, um, it's a very reckless doctrine, and it does not hold to the whole mutual mutually assured destruction and deterrent only outlook that everybody else has got. So anyway, I promised y'all that I would, you know, find something on the Samson option, and we can always dig deeper into that if anybody wants to. All right. I made my presence, and I'm not going to keep y'all much longer. The big reveal. I don't know, y'all may have seen already, but I'm just going to go ahead and announce it anyway. So unless something changes, Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Central Time, I got John Bray coming on live, and I am so excited. I have been looking forward to this for a long time. He has done so much good work on the what exactly killed Charlie question. Um, he has done a lot of work on the whole microphone issue, and he's pretty much sold me on it. Obviously, I'm not married to anything 100%, but when I first heard that theory, I kind of thought it was crazy just because of the way it sounded. But I mean, when I got to looking at what he had done in all his testing and code and everything else running everything, it just really it really impressed me and made a lot of sense. And well, obviously, if y'all look back through my videos, I've done 2 or 3 videos kind of supporting that subject. So anyway, me and him will be on here. We will be on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, and we will have an awesome conversation. I hope everybody's in the chat, and make sure y'all bring some friends with you. If y'all got socials, share it on there. Now, according to him, when we talked before, and the reason why he hasn't been on already is because he was working on some testing that he was trying to wrap up, because he said when he came on that he wanted to be able to break news, have some new information that he could break. So I can't wait to see what he's got. So yeah, he is really smart, and yes, I think it'll be a good thing all the way around. I'll enjoy it. Hopefully y'all will enjoy it and learn something. And yes, hopefully that'll also draw a few more eyeballs over this way. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, tickled to death with it. Can't wait to do it. Y'all make sure y'all share the. You can go ahead and share. I've already got the live set up, so y'all can go ahead and share the video link if you want. That would be great. The more the merrier. And then I've been talking to Mitch Snow, and yes, I would like to have him on. We haven't really got anything. We don't have any definite plans yet, but I would like to have him on soon. And like I said, we've been talking about it, so that would be another really good one to have on. Again, I've devoted 2 or 3 videos to him and his cause, or his story. So anyway, all right. Well, this was still been on here almost an hour. Well, I can take a 5-10 minute video and turn it into an hour, no problem, can't I? All right, guys. I don't know about where everybody else is at, but where I'm at, it's really late, and I got to get up in the morning. So let's call it here. Yeah, Brett, yeah, yes and no. I didn't think I was going to make it, and I literally got the thumbnail, got it up about 10, 15 minutes before I went live. I apologize. Um, I apologize. Like I said, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, and I said, "What the hell? I'm gonna just do it." Everybody may have to catch it afterwards, but we got a few people in the chat, and hey, thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. Always appreciate the support. I was just telling everybody about this coming Wednesday at 6 o'clock, John Bray. So I'm excited about that, and hopefully everybody else is, and everybody needs to plan on being here. We'll have a hell of a time as usual in there in the chat. Oh yeah, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that, Brett. Um, yeah, I'm gonna get off here. We'll end it here. And I'm on. Yeah, I will keep y'all posted if anything changes. I don't think it will. I think that's set in stone. And yeah, y'all have a good what's left of y'all's night. I'm fixing to crash out so I can hit it again in the morning. I do plan on being here tomorrow night. Definitely a little earlier. Yeah. Hey, y'all have a good night too. And yes, I appreciate that, Brett. That's what I'm fixing to do right now. So y'all, thanks again for showing up. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see y'all again tomorrow night.